I see the sons of athletes. It doesn't seem possible to me that they could possibly be of age. A lot of good DNA out there. A lot of people might not know he was actually a very involved father. This represents parenting in the 70s, but this one represents being a dad maybe better. Look, dads are just a little different. Dads are built different. Ronnie, as I get older, there are certain things that happen for me as a sports fan that really drive home to me just how painfully old I'm getting. And some of them, early on, it was when there would be managers or head coaches that I remembered as players. When somebody is hired as a manager, now I'm at the point where, that's everybody pretty much. If they played in Major League Baseball, I remember them at the age that I'm at now. But another one that gets me is when I see the sons of athletes who are out there now who it doesn't seem possible to me that they could possibly be of age. Ronnie, have you ever had that experience before? Because you're about to feel it right now if you're anything like me. Take a look here at these father-son combinations in college hoops this year. We've got Carmelo Anthony and his son. Shaquille O'Neal has a son named Shakir O'Neal who's out there. LeBron, guess what? He's just going to keep having kids until one of them is decent, is his plan. Akeem Olajuwon has a son who's out there playing for the Raging Cajuns. In fact, Tracy McGrady, Carlos Boozer has twins at Duke. Carlos Boozer should be 33 years old right now, as far as I can tell. Andre Iguodala has a son. Peja Stojakovic has a son. Stephon Marbury and Jermaine O'Neal. I remember when Jermaine O'Neal got drafted out of high school, Ron, and now he's got a kid in college.
I mean, this is just all-stars. These are all-stars after all-stars.
Yeah. A lot of good DNA out there is what I'm seeing, Ronnie.
I'm seeing that Nazir Mohammed's kid has a phenomenal first name. Sir Mohammed.
Oh, my God. The list goes on. Ron, I stopped. I thought that was the entire list.
No,
good
man.
Lord.
We still got Penny. We got Penny Hardaway, Gilbert Arenas, Scottie Pippen, Kendall Gill, Larry Hughes, Anquan Bolden, Juwan Howard, Mike Miller. Like, this is nuts, dude.
How did Anquan Bolden slip in there? He's not from the same league.
I mean, wide receivers get special treatment.
Well, there's a lot of guys in the NBA as well. I mean, how old is Tim Hardaway Jr.? Ron, look up for me real quick if you have your phone handy. How old is Tim Hardaway Jr.? Because I remember when Tim Hardaway was at fucking UTEP. And now he's got a son that not only is in the NBA, he's been in the NBA 33. A long fucking time.
He's 33.
Okay, Tim Hardaway's son is 33. He's like a 10-plus year NBA veteran. I remember watching Tim Hardaway Sr. Play college ball. And yet here we are. So, I mean, it's nice to see fathers and sons sharing legacy together. So it got me thinking about some of Super 70 Sports' greatest hits on the topic of fathers and sons, Ronnie. So I thought perhaps inspired by these college basketball players and the legacies in their family that we might look at a handful of these. So let's take a look at some of these, if we may. Start out with Sylvester there. Looney Tunes, one of my favorite Looney Tunes characters. He always has been, but a lot of people might not know he was actually a very involved father. As I tweeted, it's not said enough, but Sylvester was a good dad. He's a fucking tomcat with a whole slew of personal problems. Speech impediment, constantly chasing Tweety around, trying to eat him. Nobody really expected this level of involvement, but yet there he is with his son. Perhaps Sylvester Jr. may one day play in the NBA. Ron? I don't know, but in other dads, let's continue through these if we can. Here's one of my favorites. I love this guy. Took a while to tabulate the votes, but I'm pleased to announce that we can finally name 1977's Father of the Year. Shooting the double bird, working on a lung dart, kids having the time of their life. This is 1970s fatherhood as represented by one picture.
He just looks enormous.
All right,
compared to his kid.
Thank you for your thoughts on that, Ron.
Oh, I was waiting for you to listen. I don't know when you're going to keep here. I don't know when you're going to keep carrying on, so I was just holding off. Yeah, I just keep looking at this picture, and he looks so much bigger. I don't know if it's the perspective, but he looks enormous compared to the car and to the kids.
Well, he's a grown man in a riding a ride that, quite honestly, is probably for children, although I think that roller coaster might even be a little too much for me. I'm not a roller coaster guy, Ron, but here's another one for you. As I said, this represents parenting in the 70s, but this one represents being a dad maybe better even than the other one. I don't know how to swim, Dad, and with an attitude like that, you'll never learn. This is actually a photo of LeBron James throwing Bronny into the NBA. But I'm not good enough to be in the league, Dad. Well, how will we ever know if you're not in there? Get in there and play a few minutes, Bronny. And there he goes. We should Photoshop LeBron's head on the dad.
That would be pretty
Bronny's
funny.
head on the little kid. That's my advice here. That's what I'm seeing as I look at that. And look, dads are just a little different. Dads are built different. Moms are incredible. And, you need a good mom. But when mom's out of town and dad's in charge, day 2. Right here. Ron, Domino's, Tombstone, some Wild Turkey, Old Milwaukee Light, latest edition of Playboy magazine, and a lung dart. That young man is off to a good start in life there. It almost looks like he's wearing a pair of Nike Monarchs there, Ron. Perhaps the worst decision in the photo of everything that's happening there.
I'm fascinated by the fact that he did Domino's and Tombstone. Like that's a very odd mix.
You do Domino's until you realize that your bank account is getting low, and then you just
the $2.99 Tombstone. The $2.99 Tombstone.
Yeah, you gotta pace yourself. You can't just run through all your money with the Domino's. And a little shout out to my dad here as well. I wasn't as good of a golfer as him, but that's my dad, Donnie Cobb. He's been gone for a long time now, but in 1972, I think this would have been, he won the first flight at the Caveland Country Club Championship, defeating David Houck in final play. And my dad won the club championship the year before. So winning the first flight was actually a step down for him at that point. But David Houck is a great guy. David was probably only 15 or 16 years old at that time, and I'm still in contact with David. Really, really nice guy, and sort of one of the last connections that I have to my father there, Ron. But yeah, shout out to my dad.
I'm pretty sure your dad was looking over us on our potential Masters debacle. Like, I think without you, I think your dad was just moving us around in the right situation to just figure that whole thing out. He wasn't going to let his boy get in a car and sadly drive back to Atlanta.
My dad was thinking, what the fuck, dude? What the fuck? You did that to my boy? He's waited his entire life to get here, and then you just go in there just waving fistfuls of cash around. Who wants money? You were like a game show host, just peeling off hundreds in front of people. God, it was so brazen, Rod, looking back on it. You were literally waving cash? Well, anyway, it all worked out in the end. And,
Gave us a
and
story,
here's one
didn't
for
it?
you, just to
Gave us a
It
story.
gave us a hell of a story. Here's one to bring this thing full circle back to the NBA. I like the NBA better when every team had at least one guy who looked like a dad who was about to turn up the intensity in a driveway basketball game with his 15-year-old son. Not today, Junior. Not today. The gap between your old man and yourself might be closing, but there's still daylight left in it yet. And there are a lot of dads who have had that Bob Weiss energy there, the great Bob Weiss, who went on to become a longtime head coach in the NBA and looked exactly the same when he was coaching as he did when he was playing. I would believe that Bob is any age between 45 and 65 there, but he was actually probably about 28, which would be my guess, Ron. Unfortunately, he didn't have a son who made it into the NBA, because it would be real great if there was some motherfucker out there keeping the male pattern baldness real.
No, it skips. It'll have to be his grandkid. It'll have to be his grandkid because it skips a generation.
Oh, it skips a generation.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. See, that's what I've always heard, Ron. But both of my paternal grandfathers had male pattern baldness, and then here I am. How did I dodge that?
Oh, I don't think you have to. My understanding has always been it just doesn't happen to the son. I don't think it's an automatic that it happens to the grandson.
Okay.
I just think it just doesn't happen to the son. It could be an old wives' tale. I don't know.
I've still got a question for you, Ronnie T.
Yeah, what's that?
Could you imagine what that might possibly be? Well,
zero
it goes a little
clue.
something like this. What the fuck, Ron?
Let's go get
So what you just saw there were the Hawaii Pacific Sharks. It's a school of about 5,000 students, Division II basketball team from Honolulu, Ricky. They are going berserk this early in the season because they got on a plane, went to Boise, and beat Boise State on their home court 79-78. And it just immediately made me think about, and I bet it made you think about exactly the same thing. That little school that beat Virginia 40-something years ago. I know it's not the same level of upset, but it's immediately what I thought of.
I will never forget that night where I was. I remember the news coming in that Chaminade, the Silver Swords.
I was going to ask you, do you remember their nickname? How will you ever forget that?
Were they D3?
Oh, I think they might have been NAIA. They might have been NAIA.
It was unbelievable. 77-72, dude. I remember the score. And it was December of 82, I believe. Could have been
Ralph
83.
Sampson.
It's either 82 or 83.
How did
Ralph
that
Sampson
team beat Ralph
and
Sampson?
Virginia. Unreal when it happened, because I didn't know that Chaminade existed, right? Whenever you see a team beat a legitimate team and you've never heard of them, you don't know who they are, it blew my mind. It would blow my mind now if we had an upset at that level. But at the age that I was then, I didn't think that something like that was even remotely possible. It is one of the most shocking upsets ever, and it still stands up there.
Yeah,
it may not be the Miracle on Ice. It may not be Buster Douglas, but it is right there in any conversation of the biggest sports upsets. If you talk to anybody of our generation, I guarantee you.
But as soon as I mentioned that it was a little team from Hawaii having an upset, your brain immediately went to that, didn't it? Because that's what mine did.
Yeah. And I don't even know, back in those days, back in the early 80s, there was no I mean, what was the line? Why? I mean, this game, they had to be, Boise had to be favored by at least 20, I would think.
Oh, it has
Whoever
to be. I
these
would
kids
bet
are.
Division two. Oh, I would think it would have to be more than that. But yeah, just a crazy story that just immediately brought back memories of that Chaminade, Virginia upset.
I love to see it, man. That's one of the things that makes sports great are upsets. And you
Mm-hmm.
get upsets of a higher order at the college level, right? Because in the pro game, even the worst, sorriest ass team is full of a lot of really good players. But in college, the disparity can be so big that sometimes you'll have one happen that doesn't seem possible. You know, I'd be pretty fucking surprised if the Miami Dolphins beat the Eagles in Philadelphia or whatever. But at the same time, when you're talking about pro sports, the gap is just so much more narrow. So yeah, it's awesome to see those kids. They'll remember that for the rest of their life.
Yeah, absolutely. So my other story, also basketball, but this time it's women's basketball, and this is just kind of unbelievable. Now it is a case of a D1 women's basketball team playing a lower level basketball team. So Cal State Northridge earlier this week played a team called Bethesda University. And why this is so insane, Ricky, is Bethesda did not score their first basket until about 4 minutes left in the third quarter. At one point, they were down 72-0.
All right, that is way worse than I even expected. What
Yeah, so
the actual fuck? Were they blind? What the fuck was what the fuck was their problem?
I
I'm
don't
pretty
know. So
sure that CSU Northridge isn't full of world beaters.
no, so the
I mean, how
halftime
bad do you
score
have to be?
was 52-0. Final score 103-13. Like the
Well, they
72
got
to
double
nothing's
figures.
crazy.
That is, oh my God, that is embarrassing. And look at them doubling the chick with the ball there, playing that aggressive swarming defense down 72-0. Ron.
I mean, at halftime, if you're up 52-0, I mean, you don't want them to score, right? Like that's your goal now. It's like, I don't want this team to score.
This is embarrassing for everybody. This is so bad. It's almost embarrassing for the team that won. Why did you schedule these people? What's wrong
Ricky,
with them? Why are
this
you
is actually
beating up
interesting.
on special challenged people?
This is actually pretty interesting because I love to make my money on betting in the early season of college basketball because I think a lot of these lines they're kind of ridiculous. Like they just don't know what to put them at, and so they're not going to put it at -50. And so it seems like there's a lot of value out there. But one of the things that I've been noticing is, so how I do my research is I go to the CBS Sports app or ESPN Sports app, click on the team. I want to see what they've done in the previous games. I'm clicking on a lot of teams that the click doesn't work, dude. Like these D1 teams are playing teams that they're not even clickable. Like it's almost like they're not real teams. And it's not just one
It's
or
like
two.
they're just playing a group of Amish people.
Yeah, well, if you ever look back at like old time football and basketball schedules, like from the early 1900s, you'll see like Michigan played the Detroit Ambulance. It'll just say Detroit Ambulance, right? And so that's kind of what it feels like with some of these
How
early
bad do you have
season
to
games.
be? Look, I'm just gonna say it, dude. When you look at the quality, we're having a debate on this show about the WNBA and whether or not Jason Williams and his 1994 DuPont High, West Virginia basketball team from high school could beat the reigning champions in the WNBA, the Las Vegas Aces. Okay? Now we're talking about that. That's the highest level of women's basketball that there is. All right. And then you go down to college. You go down to big time college where you got your Juju Watkins and your Caitlin Clarks and your Paige Beckers and all those names that we followed through recent years in college basketball. Then you get down to just like your more modest Division I women's basketball. Just teams that are probably not even going to make the tournament, right? And then you get down to the lower divisions, and you eventually get to Bethesda, Maryland. I'm assuming is where
they're in Anaheim.
Okay, well, Maryland, right? Everybody in Maryland is like, don't blame us for this fucking dumpster fire. All right, so they're out there in Anaheim, and they put together an institution that is presumably large enough that they have the
400
facilities
students
to have a
400 students
college basketball team, and then they send these women out there, and they get down 72-0 and proceed to lose by 90. How fucking bad are they? Could a group of 12-year-old boys go out there and beat them?
Easily.
How bad are they?
Easily.
I mean, I would like to see footage of this game just to see if they can walk and chew gum at the same time.
Yeah, if you want to see some massive
young women from
if you want to see some massive discrepancies, especially in early season, women's basketball, if you go and see who South Carolina or UConn are playing early, dude, they're not winning by 40. They're winning by 80. Like, it's nuts to see some of those.
The depth of the women's collegiate game is still terrible.
Oh,
it really is. You don't
50
see
years behind.
You don't see teams like, and you know how ESPN insists on mixing the women's and scores with the men's scores together. Joe Bartnick, the comedian.
Right. It's
friend of the program who we had on the show.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like Duke's losing by 48. Oh, it's just a fucking women's game. And you've got to calm down. But why do they mix them together? I mean, they're two completely different things.
You know why?
But they mix them together.
You know why? Dude, you know why? ESPN's a little tiny bit woke. I think that's probably why. Right?
Yeah,
there's not a single person who's watching a college basketball game, a men's college basketball game, that gives a flying rat's ass about any women's score, and yet they still put it down there. You know why
they just mix them in there like it's fucking equivalent somehow.
It's embarrassing.
Anyway. It's confusing, is what it is. It should be
embarrassing.
Separate.